Hey everyone, the AOKZOE Gamer here. Today's video is going to be focused on replacing your SSD in your device. It's going to be broken into two parts. The first part is going to be cloning your SSD, and the second part is going to be the teardown and actual replacement of your SSD. If you don't need to clone your device, please check the video description and skip ahead. Today we're going to look at the process of cloning your SSD to a new SSD. There's various reasons you may want to do this. It could be that your current SSD is failing and you need to change to a new one, or maybe you're just looking to increase the storage capability of your device. Whatever the reason, we're going to look at a simple way to get this done. So first we're going to look at some software. I've chosen to go with AOKZOE. It is paid software, but it's very easy to use and it comes in at a low cost. The next you're going to need is a SSD, obviously. And then you're going to need an M2 enclosure so you can connect your SSD to your device. Now, the particular enclosure I have required power delivery, so I've had to use a USB-C adapter here that also is capable of power delivery. I did try to do this without, but I found that it wasn't recognizing the device whenever I would open the AOKZOE software. For the rest of the video, we're going to switch over to my capture card. It should be a little bit easier for everyone to follow along. Okay, moving on over to the capture card. Here we got the AOKZOE website. So we're going to need to go to the top. There's a tab that says Partition Manager, and then you're going to want to go down to Disk Copy. So you have two options, to buy now or the free trial. The free trial is a little bit deceiving. It's just a demo that you can see what the process would look like, but you don't get to execute. So we're going to click Buy Now. Now you see the different prices here, different options. It shows Canadian here for me, but it's $19.90 USD for the monthly. So I would recommend doing monthly if you're going to pick one of these, just because you can do basically do the swap and then forget about it. You're probably not going to need this anymore. So we're going to go back. Now we're going to select free trial, and it's going to download an installer for us. And then we're just going to run that. Okay, we're going to click Install Now. Now this will just take a few minutes, so I'll come back after it's done. Okay, now that the software is installed, I'm going to click Start Now. It's going to pop up an advertisement if you haven't already purchased, so just ignore that. So here's where you're going to need to put in your license key. If you've purchased, you should get an email. So I'm just going to take a minute here to put mine in. Okay, we're going to click Activate Now. Okay, now that we're activated, here's the software. It's fairly straightforward to use. First, you need to select your source disk, which is going to be disk 0. And you can see there it has your device name. So once we've done that, we're going to click Next. Then we're going to see disk 1 as our destination device. So we're going to click that, press Next. There's a few options here. You can take a look at, I just did adjust the disk. You can do copy, where it'll copy exactly and then have some unallocated space left on the SSD. So it doesn't really matter what you pick. I decided just to auto fit the device. So we're going to click that. Make sure that you check this one box on the left here. There's one that says check if destination is SSD, so you want to click that because it'll make the process go a little bit faster. And then we're going to run it. So this could take some time, so we'll come back after this is completed. Okay, it looks like we're finally finished. It only took 6 hours, so expect a quite a long time for this to complete, so make sure that you're doing it when you have lots of time. So we're just going to hit finish. And it looks like we're done. So we're just going to close this, shut down, and begin the teardown process. Quick side note for everyone, after I finished the install, I did some temperature checks when I was benchmarking, and I found that I was in the 90s, which is way too hot. So I ended up opening it back up to add a little heatsink. That could be specific to my particular SSD. It's a Gen 4, so it runs a little bit hotter. So I'll just quickly show you. So there's this little silicone strip that you'd want to take these films off, stick it on top here. And then you have your copper. It's very thin, it's 1.5 millimeters. You just stick that on top of here. I'm not going to do this for real, so I'm just going to lay it here for now. And then you have these little rubber bands that you stick around it. So they're quite tight to spread. You use maybe a pair of pliers or like tiny pliers or tweezers, and you want to spread it, stick them on and spread them evenly. There's 5 of them just to keep pressure. Once I installed this, my temperatures went down to the maximum I was able to get it to go up was at 55 degrees Celsius. So we're talking a 40 degrees Celsius difference, which is massive. It is a little bit tight when you put it in. I don't have that on the video, but I wanted to show this option if you're planning to get a Gen 4 card that might run a little bit hotter. So a few tools you're going to need is a screwdriver with a 00 Phillips head. And you'll need a couple different types of picks. There's the flat guitar pick one and the one with the handle. You can use either one. This one will be good later for the battery. So I've already taken this apart, but there's basically 8 screws at the back. Just need to unscrew them. There'll be a little sticker here, so it's your warranty. So just keep that in mind that you have to take off the warranty sticker. So I recommend when you're first starting, like I've already opened mine up here, but I would recommend starting in the corner, and you just want to gently go along and you'll hear clicking as you go. Don't try to force anything, just take it nice and slow. And once you've done that, then all the clips should pop and you should be able to get in here. So taking a look in here, you're going to need to remove these stickers. At least the bottom one to get access. I'm just going to put this aside. And there's this one, you can leave it on, but you'll just need to peel it up a little bit just to gain access to that one screw right there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the fan. So there's just 3 screws holding it down. These 2 bottom screws are a little bit different than the top one. They're just a little bit longer. So just remember that when you're putting it back together. Then we're just going to lift this tape. Just to remove the fan from the heatsink. Yeah, I'm going to leave it on there. I'm just going to take it off the fan portion. Okay, it should lift right up. So just be careful when you're lifting it. There's some pads attached to the fan. You just want to make sure not to rip them. They're very delicate. And you may have one of the pads stuck to the fan when you lift it. Yeah, there's one right there. So we're just going to put this to the side. You could unplug the fan if you really wanted to. I'm just going to take it off of this loop just so that it has a little more freedom. And put it off to the side. All right. Next, you're going to want to take off the screws holding the plate down. So there is a screw up here. There's a hidden one over here. I call it hidden because it's under the tape here and it's easy to not notice. And sometimes the screws, I found when I took it apart, they didn't really want to lift out, but they'll come out when, as long as they're all loose once we lift it. So before I go further, it's always safe to unplug the battery before you're unplugging components, just to be safe so that nothing gets short. There is a little protective thing right here that's attached to this screw that actually pushes the battery connector down. It stops it from lifting. So for us to unplug the battery, we're going to first need to take this one off. And then this will come loose. So you have a loose part. Just remember the way it goes. Okay, we're going to put that aside. Sorry about that. Okay, so now that we've got access to this battery, this is where we're going to use this pick. And just very gently, we're going to lift this battery connector. So the ribbon cable, it's connecting right here. It's just one of those press down connections. So I'm just going to get on the other side of it, just right over here, and just very gently pop it up. Okay, now we've unseated it. It's very awkward to get at right now. So we've got the battery unplugged. I'm just going to make sure that that's lifted. All right, now we can work on taking out the other stuff. So we're going to need to remove the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi card here. So there's just one screw holding it in. So we're just going to lift that and remove it. Put this aside. And we're just going to put this aside for now. You can unplug it if you'd like. This was, it's supposed to be seated in there, but I had taken it out prior, the last time I had taken the device apart. All right, so now we're going to finish taking off this plate. So there's a screw and basically all the corners. See, and this is what I was talking about before. It doesn't always like to come up, so you just help it out a little bit. And then there's the one over here that we loosened. I'm actually just going to take this tape entirely off, just so it's out of the way. Just be careful lifting it because there is a ribbon cable underneath, which you don't want to damage. Okay, we're going to put this aside. Okay, that should be all. So I'm just going to lift it up with the screws still in there, because they don't like to come out. Okay, now we're just going to put this aside. All right, so now we have access. These are the pads I was talking about. They're very delicate. There's a little bit of pieces that had stuck, and you can tell they kind of go down weird after. But anyway, we're gonna move straight to the SSD here. So there's just a sticker here that you need to remove. So I'm just gonna lift this up. Just do it carefully. Sometimes it'll, little pieces will stay on the SSD. So just slowly take it off. Now I've already put in my replacement SSD here. So I'm not going to bother doing the next step, but basically what you need to do is just unscrew this one screw. This will lift up, and then you slide it out, insert the new SSD, and then put it back down and screw it in. So we're going to pretend that I just finished doing that, and we're going to just reassemble. So the first thing we're going to want to do is just put our sticker back on. Okay. Then we're going to move back to putting on the little metal shield here. And I just left the screws in there. So tighten this back down. And like most things electronics, don't force, just do it nice and slow and gentle. You want to strip anything while you're doing this. Okay, now the last one I have to put in is this last one here. So first, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and plug this guy back in. If you plan to do any kind of repairs like this, I highly recommend the Ifixit kit. Having these magnetized is extremely helpful. Okay, so now that we've got this down, we've got this screwed down, we've got this plugged back in, we're going to go ahead and reseat the battery. Okay, now that we've got the battery plugged in, we just need to put this last little piece that we had set aside back in. So it goes with the material facing up, which pushes against the battery connector. And just slide it in. Our last screw is just a small one. So we'll go ahead and put that in. Okay, now we can put the fan back in. So when we're putting the fan in, just make sure to feed your wire in through here. I've already done that, but you can just lift this up, slide it in. There is a pad on the other side that usually sticks to it, so just be careful. So we're going to put this in, to put it the right way first. And these wires here are a little bit tight, so just keep in mind they should slot around this little little post here, just so that they're out of the way and they don't get pinched. So just make sure your screws, see this had popped up already, so just make sure your screws are down in there so that they don't get pinched by the fan when you're tightening. Okay, so we'll put our fan back in. There's two different size of screws. There's the short one here. This one's just a little bit shorter because it has less to go through, so that one goes at the top. And then we've got this other one that's just slightly longer. If you mix it up, it's not going to be the end of the world. I think it'll still grab, but it won't be as secure. Just going to double check these wires just to make sure that they're down there. Yeah, we're good. Okay, now that we've got this back together, we can put our tape back in. This is optional, of course. If you don't want to put the tape in, you don't have to. I just put it in just to keep it how it was when I got it. We got our tape at the bottom. And then we can just put this back together. Take the cover. I'm gonna put it here. Now I'm gonna be doing some other stuff in here, so I'm not gonna bother clicking it in. But all you need to do is line it up, make sure that it's right there, and then you just click, 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 and just gently push it together. And you'll be good to go. Then once you've clicked it together, put your 8 screws back, and that's it. So hopefully this was helpful, and thanks for watching.